Australia's Win News.
Tonight, Gunns shares slump after the company's fundraising trading halt. Tassie's seniors push for an immediate increase in aged pensions. And Cadbury refusing to talk to workers about factory sackings. Good evening, I'm John Remess. Gunns' share price has slumped in a market sell-off after it came out of a trading halt today. Investors spooked despite the success of the timber company's bid to raise $300 million to pay off debt.
It's been a day of mixed blessings for Gunns. Early this afternoon, the company announced it had secured $336 million through its capital raising venture, well above the $300 million it was aiming for. Investors will get 7 new shares for every 10 they already have, and they'll be paying $1.50 per share. The money will be used to pay back debt, including $225 million used to buy Ozpine. Gunns has cleared its immediate financial hurdle, but those who bought in may not be so happy. Trading started up again and the price started falling, reaching a low of $1.31. By the end of the day, the timber company's shares had crashed by 16%, closing at $1.40.
Initially it looked like they were going to hold above that $1.50 level. Since then they've had a mini collapse of sorts, if you like, and the share price has actually dropped to well below $1.40.
Gunns hopes to raise a further $91 million could be dashed.
Certainly people are unlikely to dip into their pocket for $1.50 a share when they can buy them on market for substantially less than that.
The fundraising exercise isn't related to the pulp mill, but if Gunns shares continue to fall, it could affect the company's search for a joint venture partner and finance for the mill. Sonia Pascoe, Win News.
The federal government has turned the blowtorch on the Liberals following the defeat of its luxury car tax in the Senate. Prime Minister Kevin Rudd accused the opposition of putting Porsche and Rolls-Royce drivers ahead of working families.
The luxury car tax increase, the first of the budget measures the opposition has vowed to block, was voted down in the Senate this morning. Family First Senator Steve Fielding joining the coalition to blow a $555 million hole in the surplus.
This tax actually hits farmers and tourism operators because their cars aren't a luxury, they're a tool of trade.
But the government directed its fury at the Liberals and Nationals.
They think the right thing to do for Australia is to provide luxury car buyers with a tax cut and take that $555 million away from public transport.
Their priorities do not lie in lower interest rates for working families.
Finally, that the opposition's got a policy with respect to the cost of living. It's let them drive Ferraris.
It was the second Senate vote on the issue. In an embarrassment for the opposition, the tax rise was passed last night.
34 ayes, 33 noes.
When a Liberal senator missed the division.
I did not hear those bells. I'm very sorry.
The Greens, who'd reached a compromise deal with the government, criticised Senator Fielding.
You can't rip $500 million out of the Treasury, which could go to helping families right across the board, and say you're a defender of family interests.
We will reintroduce the bill next sitting week.
This is just the start. The total value of 3 other key budget items the opposition plans to block is a cool $5.5 billion over 4 years. Laurie Oakes, 9 News.
The Premier's Fuel Summit at Launceston today failed to tackle one of the state's most pressing concerns for motorists, the rising cost of petrol at the pump. When the summit was called 3 months ago, petrol prices across the state were at an all-time high. But ways to reduce the cost weren't discussed today. Instead, the summit centred on efforts to reduce fuel consumption. From now on, the state's public servants could find themselves sharing their government-funded vehicles and using more public transport.
We have tens of cars on the road, on the Midlands Highway, on the Bass Highway every day, and I want to look for opportunities to reduce our fuel consumption and also to lead by example.
Innovative forms of transport were also showcased, the Premier taking one for a test drive. Tasmanian pensioners are calling on the federal government to further subsidise medications in a bid to ease the burden on the state's health system. It's claimed many pensioners can't afford to fill their prescriptions, then fall dangerously ill and are forced into hospital beds.
Margot Wall isn't your average pensioner, but the feisty widow knows how hard it can be to survive.
It is impossible.
$270 a week. There are a few little extras, but it's nothing at all.
She's lobbying the federal government to increase the pension by $30 a week immediately, saying that would also help the aged buy much-needed medications, keeping them out of hospital beds.
They get a prescription, but they can't afford to go and get that. Prescriptions are around about $6 or extra. And they probably think, oh, food is more important until I can get something from the chemist.
The Australian Medical Association believes pensioners have a good deal with free pharmaceuticals after filling 52 scripts.
You know, they have to pay $5 a script. If you multiply that over a year, it's very expensive. And on $273 a week, that's just so difficult.
A review of the pension system is underway, and perhaps it's not a moment too soon, with new population statistics revealing 1 in 4 Australians will be aged over 65 by the year 2056.
Margot Wall is reminding the Prime Minister that charity begins at home.
We built this nation, and we should have a priority over what Mr Rudd is thinking of doing with his $76 billion.
The Pension Review Committee will be in Hobart on the 16th of September. Jo Stone, Win News.
There's new help tonight for the families of the 1,800 Australians a year who take their own lives. The Salvation Army unveiling a special program for support and prevention. The launch came as the loved ones of actor Mark Priestley attended his funeral today in Perth.
The Holy Family Catholic Church in Perth and a 400-strong congregation says goodbye to Mark Priestley.
He was the best of friends, supportive, thoughtful, caring, sensitive and kind.
The All Saints star had battled depression for several years. The Salvation Army says 1 Australian is lost to suicide every 5 hours. They have created an online program that shows how to spot the signs someone is considering suicide. It was endorsed by Kayleen Donoghue.
To understand,
one by one,
they hear the word suicide,
her 3 children took their own lives.
But my kids, they were good kids. They were living, breathing human beings, and I loved them very much.
The Salvos are now offering a counselling service to the relatives left behind, like Cindy Mills. She was the first to find her 17-year-old daughter, Victoria.
In deep shock, fear and panic, I waited for the ambulance, begging God to wake me up from this shocking nightmare. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening.
Former radio broadcaster Sally Lone said she wished the Salvos program had been around before her brother John took his own life.
I can't even imagine what it was like for him to wake up that morning and know that this was going to be his last day.
The online program takes 60 minutes and was written by a clinical psychologist.
I wish the program had been running when my children had been alive, because I know our lives would be so different today.
Mark Burrows, 9 News.
An investigation's underway into a behaviour management unit at Risdon Prison amid concerns it may be breaching human rights. Ombudsman Simon Alston says he's received numerous complaints about the Tamer unit, which houses prisoners in solitary confinement for bad behaviour. 2 cases are of particular concern.
These are 2 prisoners who've been in effectively solitary confinement for one in solitary confinement for about 5 years and the other one in solitary confinement for about 3 years.
There are also allegations the regime is not handled fairly or predictably. A spokesman from the Justice Department says the prison service will cooperate fully with the investigation, but is confident that practices not only meet but exceed national standards. The Supreme Court has refused a Tasmanian man jailed over a violent bashing the chance of being released on parole. Dean Philip Braslin was sentenced to 4 years jail last year after an assault caused a permanent brain injury to his victim. He appealed the sentence, which did not include the opportunity for parole. The judgment, stating Braslin's recent history and record of violence, gave the sentencing judge good reason to deny parole. Braslin escaped from custody in May and was recaptured after 10 days on the run. Almost 3 weeks since Cadbury Schweppes announced job cuts, its staff are still in the dark. The union appalled Cadbury refused to attend its delegates' meeting today.
Last month, Cadbury proposed a $50 million makeover for its Claremont factory, but 160 workers will have to go. 3 weeks on, the union's angry its members have been left in the lurch.
As to the exact number of jobs that are going, where they're going from, and the reasons why they're going.
The union wrote to Cadbury's to invite management to an urgent meeting at the Claremont site today, but the company refused to attend.
For some reason they weren't available to meet with us today, which is really a concern because we felt this was very important to try and get as much information out to members as we possibly could.
I believe they know where the jobs are going from. I believe they know where they're going to. And I think they've got an obligation to share that with their workforce.
A workforce that's become very frustrated.
A lot of people are starting to get a little bit coey and wonder what's going on.
I haven't heard anything.
Just wondering where our jobs are going, like when they're going to go.
Just the uncertainty. It's a bit off-putting, but what can you do?
Cadbury's will consult with the union and the state government when it knows more detail in the coming months. April Hosking, Win News.
Holidays always seem to fly by, even if you're royalty. Today, Princess Mary made her final public appearance before heading home to Denmark. Along with Prince Frederick and her 2 young children, Mary took a stroll for the cameras to the grounds of Government House in Sydney.
They may be royalty, but today they look like any normal, happy family. And from Christian, who turns 3 next month, a Danish version of cheese for the cameras. His sister, 17-month-old Isabella, was a little more bashful, keeping a tight rein on Mum as she spoke of the family's trip down under.
It's been a long time since we've been all together, so it was a very wonderful family time.
But for Christian, there was no time for talking. The gardens of Government House, his own royal romper room.
Yeah. Hey, son. He's getting to that age where he's really going his own way.
While Princess Mary's stopover in Sydney has been more businesslike, the main purpose of this visit to Australia was to catch up with family in Tasmania. And insiders say it was a holiday she had to share with an overzealous paparazzi.
She would like to show the children the places, but it was just awful.
But today it was all smiles. Next, the trip back to Copenhagen. And of course, with children, it could be a long flight home.
They travelled very well on the way down here, so I'm crossing fingers that it's the same on the way back. Hey, Christian!
Hey, Dad. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Ahead on Win News, an update on the condition of our wounded diggers in Afghanistan and a very ugly incident at a British awards ceremony.
Friday, double the laughs with 2 great comedies. At 7:30, the world's most lovable ogre.
Little kitty.
And his greatest adventure yet, the comedy smash, Shrek 2.
Then a sparkling romantic comedy.
Your Kelson finally dumped you.
Starring Sandra Bullock.
You're the most selfish human being on the planet.
And Hugh Grant.
Silly. Have you met everyone on the planet?
Your Friday night comedy twosome. 2 weeks' notice after Shrek 2 on Win.
Now there's broadband, and there's NetSpace broadband.
Are you suffering the broadband blues? You know, slow and expensive downloads? Well, with NetSpace flat-rate broadband plans from a tiny $29.95 per month, you'll have lightning-fast broadband. And with NetSpace, you'll never pay excess usage fees again. Switch to NetSpace broadband and we'll waive connection fees. We'll even throw in a modem for nothing. Come on, Tasmania. Call 131 761 or visit us at netspace.net.au now.
'Cause I shook hands with a digger on the wrong side of the world.
Legacy is there for the families of those who died as a result of war or on peacekeeping duties. Carry a torch during Legacy Week and buy a badge or donate at any Commonwealth Bank branch.
So proud to be Australian.
Legacy, proudly supported by the Commonwealth Bank and TELUS.
Right now, you won't believe how Toyota saves you with great deals on over 20 different models. But you'll only find them by visiting greatoffers.toyota.com.au or your Toyota dealer today. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
We used to give Dad proper Father's Day gifts. Now it's cookbooks written by footy players. But your local Home Hardware knows what he wants. Come in right now and purchase any Works product for Dad and you could win him a Ford Territory. Home Timber and Hardware. The proper hardware store.
Keep Australia Beautiful Week kicks off on Monday the 25th of August, and this year we're asking you to score points for the environment. You can score points by refilling printer cartridges, recycling old mobile phones, even using energy saver light globes. Your goal is to reach 100 points, and if you do, the environment will thank you, and so will I. Hang on, what does this mean? Reach 100 points and I'll give you a call? Did I agree to this? Anyway, for details, visit our website.
Welcome back. The most seriously injured of 9 Australian Army casualties has been airlifted to Germany following Tuesday night's ambush in Afghanistan. He remains in a critical condition after the fierce encounter with Taliban extremists.
He's in the very best of medical hands, and that means that he's got the best chance of survival.
Another 3 of the Special Forces soldiers remain in a serious condition, while the other 5 have minor injuries. America's Republican candidate for Vice President, Sarah Palin, has overcome an early battering to deliver a standout speech at her party's political convention in Minnesota. Palin had to deal with critics who doubted her qualifications.
Sarah Palin wanted average Americans to know that she was one of them, a mother of an average family. And her husband and 5 children were all there tonight to hear her say she's ready to take on the challenge.
I will be honored to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States.
But she wanted to show she's a mum with an attitude. As governor of Alaska and a former mayor, she's unimpressed with Barack Obama's former job as a council community organizer.
I guess a small-town mayor is sort of like a community organizer, except that you have actual responsibilities.
While 7-year-old Piper fussed over baby Trig's hair, their mother was again launching into Obama, this time over his views on dealing with terrorists.
Al-Qaeda terrorists still plot to inflict catastrophic harm on America, and he's worried that someone won't read them their rights.
Be assured the national TV audience for this tonight will be huge, and they'll be watching and perhaps wondering if John McCain, who's in his 70s, does die in office. Can this woman step up as the leader of the free world? Earlier in the day, the Palin family was at the airport to welcome John McCain to Minnesota. He made a point of hugging Palin's pregnant daughter, Bristol, and had an animated chat with boyfriend Levi Johnson, who's now joined this family affair after a late decision to bring him from Alaska.
Our family has the same ups and downs as any other, the same challenges and the same joys.
Tonight, McCain joined the Palin family on stage, clearly believing she had blasted away her critics. Robert Penfold, 9 News, Minnesota.
People evacuated ahead of Hurricane Gustav have begun to return home. New Orleans police were forced to allow cars through even before power and water supplies were restored, when thousands of vehicles queued up on the outskirts of the city. Up to 3 more hurricanes are lining up for new assaults in the region. The singer Lily Allen was busily laying the foundations for an ugly moment at a British awards night. As a co-host with Elton John, she stashed a bottle of bubbly under the lectern. She sneaked in for a top-up, even between announcements, steadily drinking herself towards a clash with Elton.
We reach a very special point in the evening.
Well, you're going to have another drink?
Off, Elton. You know what? I'm 40 years younger than you. I got my whole life ahead of me.
I can still snort you under the table.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
Backstage afterwards, Allen collapsed and she had to be carried out by a bodyguard. Novice drivers across the state no longer have a lengthy wait for licence testing. Until recently, they had to wait up to 5 months before being able to do their practical driving test. But in recent weeks, that's been cut to an average waiting time of 3 weeks, although there are still some delays on the west and east coasts. The government has employed 20 new driver testing officers across the state to cope with the backload. If you're a fan of Sauvignon Blanc, then perhaps you should think close to home next time you head for the bottle shop. Tamer Ridge's Caïna Vineyard Sauvignon Blanc 2007 has won a trophy for the best in its category at the Decanter World Wine Awards in London. The vintage was also named in the top 100 Australian wines by a leading UK wine writer. Fewer than 300 out of 9,000 wines received an award. Sport now with Colin, and Campbell Brown's likely to play in tomorrow night's qualifying final. Colin.
He is, John. The Hawks are going to give him until the last minute to prove his fitness, and Brett Lee set for a comeback after his marriage breakup.
Father's Day, a time to celebrate and honour the dads of the world. You wonder what we'd do without them. Give Dad a laugh with our funniest home videos Father's Day tribute.
Saturday 6:30.
It's game on right now at Mitsubishi. Get free on-road costs on Lancer ES with a fuel-efficient 4-cylinder engine for just $20,990. And free on-road costs on fuel-efficient Colt ES manual that does 750 k's per tank for just $14,990. Both backed by the Mitsubishi Diamond Advantage, Australia's best new car warranty and customer care. It's game on, so go in hard at your local Mitsubishi dealer today. Love that car.
Now there's broadband and there's NetSpace broadband.
Are you suffering the broadband blues? You know, slow and expensive downloads? Well, with NetSpace flat-rate broadband plans from a tiny $29.95 per month, you'll have lightning-fast broadband. And with NetSpace, you'll never pay excess usage fees again. Switch to NetSpace broadband and we'll waive connection fees. We'll even throw in a modem for nothing. Come on, Tasmania. Call 131 761 or visit us at netspace.net.au now.
One of them is where I shake my head to get my hair out of my eyes. There's another one where I sort of do like a little squeaking in my throat. Tourette syndrome is a neurological disorder that affects thousands of Australians. It is characterised by involuntary movements and vocal noises called tics. We can't help it, and we're just like you in every other way. So visit tourette.org.au.
Brett Lee is keen to return to cricket in the next month's Test series in India after his marriage breakup. Sitting out the Bangladesh top end one day as Lee caught up with teammates for the first time since splitting with wife of 2 years Liz Kemp last month. Lee boasts a rock-star-like profile in India but has never played a Test there.
That's something that's been burning in me, or burning inside of me for like a long period of time now, so I'll be looking forward to getting over there.
The Williams sisters have played another memorable match, this time in the quarterfinals of the US Open. After a first set hiccup, Rafael Nadal overcame Marty Fish, while Serena reversed her Wimbledon defeat, beating Venus in two outstanding tiebreaker sets.
Nothing was gifted to Serena. In both sets, she came back from 5-3 down.
Oh, that's cheeky.
Venus had her baby sister at her mercy and several times legless.
Not quite the splits.
Serena saved a total of 8 set points, but Venus did prevail in the rally of the match that earned a standing ovation. In a position to square the match and take it into a decider, Venus stumbled under Serena's dogged persistence. Hawkeye put a full stop on the match. Serena now meets Russian Dinara Safina in the semis. Once in full flight, Rafael Nadal put Marty Fish to the sword and hammered the umpire's mic. The American's racket felt his frustrations.
Get rid of that one.
Next to Nadal's sights, Andy Murray. Ken Sutcliffe, 9 News.
Construction has started on Hobart's Domain Tennis Centre upgrade ahead of next year's Marilla Tennis International, costing around $400,000. The centre will now use the same plexi cushion surface as the Australian Open, giving players the ideal preparation in the lead up to the first Grand Slam tournament of the year. The new thinner surface replaces the outdated rebound ace, allowing players to slide without being as sticky underfoot. Completion date of the 6 upgraded courts is expected by December. A wizard on the football field, James Hird is creating another sort of magic at the MCG's National Sports Museum. The Essendon legend stars in a lifelike three-dimensional hologram, and today he came face to face with himself.
James Hird enters stage left.
The G. This is my favourite place in the world.
The 12-minute monologue is quite literally the performance of his life, watched on by his toughest critic.
Alongside my teammates, put my head in my hands, and even though there were 50, 60,000 people in the crowd, I felt alone. I think the hardest part was actually memorising everything that you wanted to get out and get it out succinctly and not ramble on.
We hear he got it in just one take. Sons Tom and Alex mesmerised by a clone football clubs would kill for.
I think they were stunned that there was two dads, and it's a bit of a worry really. There's two dads that can yell at them and get them in trouble for doing the wrong thing. I didn't really know what I was doing when I went and hugged that guy on the boundary line. Would you go and hug a supporter?
James Hird fans will be keen to find out what lies ahead for the celebrated champion, but be warned, while the technology is magical, it doesn't come with a crystal ball.
I wish it did. I wish someone would tell me what the future was, but look, yeah, just enjoying life and enjoying being out of football for a while.
One thing's for sure, he'll never be just a shadow of his former self. Martine Alpins, 9 News.
More football and the weather coming up after the break.
Saturday, a family adventure from the world of Jumanji that'll blow your house into space.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Tim Robbins, Zafira, a space adventure. Premieres Saturday, 7:30.
Because of the Heart Foundation, my pup's alive today.
Please help the charity that can beat heart disease. Give to the Heart Foundation Door Knock Appeal this September.
Please, give from the heart.
New Geiger Counter. Detect radioactive radiation with your mobile. Just text Nuke 1 to 191800 and impress your friends. Text Nuke 1 to 191800. It's great fun. $6.60 per item, 2 items a week.
This spring, you can really clean up with incredible value across the entire Ford range. Like the amazing Territory TX rear-wheel drive with auto and 7 seats for all the family. For just $36,990, drive away, no more to pay. And now with $2,000 of free fuel across the entire Territory range. So if you want to clean up, hurry into your participating Ford dealer.
Harvey Norman takes you back nearly 50 years. When Jerry started, computers looked like this. Now get this top brand Toshiba satellite notebook with 1 gig of RAM for a hot $597 after cashback. Move on up to the power of dual-core processing and 2 gig of RAM for only $798 after cashback. While dedicated graphics and a huge 250 gig hard drive makes this Toshiba a multimedia star. Only $994 after cashback. Celebrate with us now. Harvey Norman taking you back nearly 50 years. Go!
There's a new way to help your body. Unlock the energy from food. Recharge, new from the makers of Centrum. With high-potency B-group vitamins, Recharge helps your body convert food to energy, helping to maximise your natural energy every day. Recharge, new from the makers of Centrum. Unlock your energy every day.
And welcome back. Hawthorn has named Campbell Brown in its side to play the Bulldogs tomorrow night despite a suspect ankle. Coach Alistair Clarkson prepared to give the defender all the time he needs in order to prove his fitness.
Campbell Brown viewed training from a distance, with Hawthorn wrapping him in cotton wool ahead of its qualifying final.
When you've got a guy like that who's so resilient and so courageous, I think the injury he's got, will be touch and go whether he'll play. So we'll give him until late tomorrow afternoon to decide that.
Not much was asked of Shane Crawford either, the veteran saving his energy for the clash with the Bulldogs. The Hawks keen to atone after a disappointing showing in last year's finals.
I think every experience you go through like that helps your players prepare for the opportunity of playing finals again.
There's a lot of expectation at Waverley Park, and finals fever has certainly taken hold of the fans. So much so, security guards were brought in, something Lance Franklin is no doubt getting used to. Even the increased media attention meant changes had to be made.
We've introduced this the last couple of weeks and need to actually get a stool here so I can sit up a little bit higher.
The Bulldogs have included Hudson and Ray in their side, while Dean Laidley has swung the axe at North Melbourne, dumping Corey Jones and Hamish McIntosh. A surprise at Collingwood with Scott Burns not named, while Dale Thomas makes his return. No outs for Geelong, but Mackie, Rook and Wojcinski are in, with the Saints naming McWalter, Stephen, Armitage and Xavier Clark. And Guy McKenna will be smiling after the AFL confirmed the new Gold Coast team will have 9 picks in the first round of the 2010 draft, plus access to 16 uncontracted players. The side's expected to announce tonight it'll be known as the Coasters.
And that is all in sport. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Cole. To the weather now. It was generally cloudy about the north today, mostly fine and sunny elsewhere. Hobart and Launceston reached 15 degrees. Burnie, Devonport, St Helens and Strawn 14. Swansea shared the highest temperature of 16 with Flinders Island and Eddystone Point. Today's chart shows a high centred to our east, extending a ridge over the state. A cold front lies well to the south of the Bight. Interstate tomorrow, rain periods in Sydney, a chance of a shower in Canberra, rain easing in Brisbane, fine in Adelaide, Melbourne and Perth. A top of 17 for Hobart, 15 in Launceston, 14 in Burnie and Devonport, and mainly fine in those centres. A shower or two in St Helens with 15, fine in Swansea, a late shower in Strawn, both expecting 16. For the coastal waters, northeast to northwesterly winds of 10 to 20 knots, reaching 25 knots in the east and west, but lighter inshore in the south and later in the north. Mainly fine weekend coming up for the northwest. Monday should be fine as well. A similar outlook for Launceston, temperatures around 15. Hobart mainly fine on Saturday, a shower or two Sunday, fine on Monday. That's Win News this Thursday. I'm John Remess. Good night.